Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:42 a.m. We are now joined by Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, Chairman and Founder of Gift of the Givers. And Alhamdulillah, some good news. We've just heard that Al-Qaeda has released a South African hostage. And that, of course, is Gerco van Deventer. And this is after 6 years being held a captive by Al-Qaeda. Assalamu alaikum to you, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman. Welcome to the show, and you must be delighted.
Walaikum salam. Julie, yes, I'm happy, but more for the family. I've seen these things many times before. I've seen what families go through, and especially in Stephen McGowan's case. His mother passed on 1 month before he was released. So it was a very, very tough time for the family and for him when he returned. So yes, also, when I speak to the wife, Shireen, she always tells me about the son, Asher, that when he goes to school events, and sports events, every child there has a father with him. Whether it's cricket, whether it's rugby, whether it's soccer, the father is there with the child. And he's the only one all these years that has no father with him on the ground. It's been very, very tough for the child. So more than anything else, I'm extremely pleased that hopefully the father will be home the next few days for the sake of course, the wife, but also especially for the child.
Dr. Suleiman, talk to us about when did you first hear that Gerco van Deventer is going to be released? Who made contact with you, and were you involved then at any point with these latest release negotiations?
We've been involved with negotiations from 2018. He was taken on 3rd November 2017 in Libya. As he's a paramedic, he started a job in a new company. And within a short space of time, him and two of the directors were on their way to their plant or wherever it was. They got captured by a group in Libya. Two directors of the company, I think somebody paid ransom or the family paid ransom, and they were released. But nobody paid any money for Gerco because he was a new employee. He was not part of the company. He was not a direct director, or he was just somebody new. So nobody paid any money for him because the ransom figures are quite high. And then in 2018, he got sold to Al-Qaeda in Mali from the group in Libya. At that point, the family came to us and said, can you please help? Because we've done this before. And of course, we have a relationship with intermediaries in Mali, having dealt with many hostage cases since 2015. We then got hold of them and said, what's the options? And they got back and they said, the guys want $3 billion US. And we, of course, we said that's madness. And eventually we brought it down to 500,000 US. But of course, there was nobody to pay. The family can't afford it. There was no benefactor. The company was not going to pay. And Gift of the Givers, we don't pay ransom. We only facilitators between the captors and the family. So nothing happened. It slowed down. And eventually COVID came. And everything shut down right till 2022. This year, January, we got a call from one of the intermediaries. And they said, why don't you guys try again? So we said, what are we going to try with? There is no money. What's different between now and then? So they said, look, quite a few hostages have been released since the time of COVID. So we said, okay, we'll give it a shot. But again, we got no money. So the first opportunity we used was Ramadan. We said it's a month of fasting. People are supposed to have soft hearts. In Pelican Park, a Marissa teacher got all the kids together at iftar time. The Christian community joined them. They made some placards. They made a video and said, please release him. The MJC then sent a letter of support. We sent that across also. Nothing happened. Then came Hajj. We tried the same thing. It's a blessed month. It's pilgrimage. Got to have a soft heart. You should understand that. Do something. Nothing happened. Then came the Morocco earthquake. And we offered assistance to Morocco. But of course, the government said they don't need any international assistance. But the captors heard of our offer. And through the intermediaries, they sent a message to say, we appreciate the fact that you want to help Morocco. Because a lot of them have links to Morocco. Both the intermediaries and the captors. So we started to use that as an opportunity and said, why don't you release Gerco? You know what? The man's got no money, his son's got no money, as a gesture of goodwill. We didn't get a response. Two important things happened. November 16, the chief intermediary who helped us free Stephen McGowan got back, called us on November 16 in the afternoon. And all he said is, I need all the videos again. The videos that you made with the wife and the child, those that you put in public, and those that you didn't put in public. We need those videos. And that's all he said. But that day was very significant because that morning of November 16, after Fajr Salah, my head of my office, Ahmad Abbasi in Gaza, and his brother, Dr. Muhammad, his brother who's a doctor, Dr. Muhammad, were both deliberately killed, murdered by the Israeli occupation forces. So I don't know if there was any relevance to that event, because the same day they called him, that's all they said. Then on the 5th of December, we got a call from Mauritania. Now, we haven't dealt with Mauritania. We've only dealt with Mali and Niger. So we don't know who this was from Mauritania. They called us and they said, we're busy freeing Gerco. And that's all we had. We couldn't understand what that was all about, because nobody said anything else. Then on Saturday, South African State Security called me to say that Algerian State Security called them to say that they have Gerco with them and that he has been released, and that they are flying him from whichever border to Algiers for a hospital checkup, and they take him to one of the hospitals in Algiers. Our state security said that's all they know. They don't know how he came, where he came from, what's his condition, what the rules were, whatever. They have no clue, no idea, because nobody was involved in any case. Then we checked what the intermediaries, and they said, sorry, we're supposed to call you. And the chief guy responsible for the release said, yes, he has been released unconditionally. And then he explained further. He said, you guys know that we normally do the release from Mali, but we can't do it to Mali because the Mali military is at war with the Tuaregs, so that's not possible anymore. So that option is out. He said, you got a call from Mauritania because they were trying to facilitate release through Mauritania. But the Mauritania state security said, no, they don't want to get involved in hostage matters, so they refused. So they said, finally, we went to the Algerians because we've just released hostages to Algeria previously. So that was the last route we took. And we're supposed to inform you, but yes, we have released him unconditionally, and he is in Algeria.
Alhamdulillah. During all of this time, all of this communication that was going on between these officials and yourself, did you share any of the information with Gerco's wife? I'm also thinking about raising her hopes, and then they probably just get dashed thereafter. Apart from her, you've taken such a personal interest in this story, like you have in many others. It must affect you psychologically as it's affected his family. And I'm not even, I'm kind of wondering what's going to be the situation when he comes back home. A very joyous occasion, but I think there's going to be a lot of probably therapy involved because of that absence from his family, readjusting to what we know as life being normal. There's just so much that's going to be going on in this family's life. How do you see all of this, being a medical professional yourself?
Well, number one, we always stick to the family, because remember, the family asked us to get involved. So there's total transparency. We don't hide anything. I even say there's a possibility he can get killed, or this may happen, he may never come out. I share everything with the family. And I say, don't put your hopes up. And the wife says, the wife is very strong, full of faith and patience. And whenever you speak to her, she is so full of, she actually said a long time ago he's coming out. She was so positive about it. And, and that positivity was where, of course, into the universe, and it got answered. And she had to be strong for the child. Of course, you don't be strong for the child, you've got to be strong for yourself too. But you're strong for herself and for the child. And I always said, Shireen, this is a possibility. It may happen, it may not happen. We may wait a year, we may wait longer. Nothing may happen. And I said, the biggest challenge we have is they paid that group in Libya for Gerco. Now, the moment they do that, they want their money back. So if they paid $100,000 or $300,000 or $1 million, they need that money back. So me asking for free, unconditional release is a long shot, because they will say, we paid the money and we want the money back for what we paid to Libya. And that was the biggest challenge in 6 years. So I said, it may not happen. You have to understand that he may never come home. And she said she's prepared for whatever. No, she was strong all over. So everywhere along the line, I told her. In terms of my state, you know what, I'm not a guy that's emotional. I practice what is called emotional distancing. I'm doing this work for 33 years. I don't get attached to any situation. People getting killed, bombs, amputations, what happened in Gaza, I'm totally ice cold, sorry to say that, but it doesn't affect me. If it affected me, I can't do what I do for 33 years. So I'm totally removed from any situation emotionally. And I've trained my teams to be like that also. Otherwise, you can't do this job. And it's not something like you do once in a while. We do this 365 days a year. And I'm doing it for 31 years for the Gift of the Givers and 2 years previously to that. So you cannot be attached. And in terms of the health of his mental health, his physical health, on every video up till 20th July, he looks well. He speaks well, he looks fine, he sounds fine. Emotionally and psychologically, I can't tell you. But Stephen McGowan came out of it very quickly. Johan Gustafsson from Sweden came out of it very quickly. Yolandi Koki came out of it very quickly. So, it depends on their stake and on how they were on the other side, how they were looked after, what kind of rapport they had, and how positive they feel. And what Shireen, being the lady she is, I'm sure she'll help Gerco recover very, very quickly, which is such a strong human being, such a strong person. And basically, I get involved personally because this is very risky. It's far easier to send an entire team to a disaster zone. It's much easier with all the complications than to deal on one-on-one with a hostage. Because if you make a mistake and you're not consistent, there's a chance they'll shoot the hostage and you'll be responsible. So you have to be consistent with everything that you do. And that's why you have to have your hands, on the pulse all the time in this kind of situation. And I get personally involved because I've seen the havoc it causes with the families. As I mentioned to you, Stephen McGowan's mother didn't meet him. She passed on before he came. And you put yourself in the position of those hostages and their families, and you see their anguish and you understand that this is not what you want to go through. But you're limited because you don't have money. If you don't have money, it becomes very complicated. If there's money, I can guarantee you I can take a hostage out in 7 days.
Yep, and that also opens up the door to other problems as well, because then the hostage takers, wherever they are, will believe that this is a free for all and they can go about randomly kidnapping people and the ransoms will be paid. That being said, and just one or two more questions before I let you go. During all of this time, during these 6 years, was there ever a doubt in your mind regarding proof of life as far as Gerco is concerned?
No. We're dealing with a group that is consistent in their messaging. We've dealt with Al-Qaeda since 2013, from the time they took Yolandi Koki in Yemen. And I've always seen, what they say is what they keep to, they deliver. So if they say it's well, I don't need a video to prove that to me. I know it's well. And when the hostages come out, they tell you that. Because they sent a message once to say that one of the hostages died in captivity. They just didn't say how. South African, he was shocked, but they didn't explain that. So when they tell you he's alive, he's alive. When they tell you he's in bad condition, they will tell you he's ill, we have to get a doctor, we have to do this, that, and the other. They're always consistent with the messaging because to them, this is a business. So they have to keep to their part of the transaction. Here they talk about 3 million, in other cases, 11 million and 15 million euros. They talk that kind of money for European hostages. So it is in their interest, they say that to you themselves. It is in our interest that we must take very good care of the hostages. So that when food comes and when clothing comes and when items come, they get first option to choose whatever they want. We take very good care of our hostages. And it's not in our interest to see any hostages die in captivity with us. We want them to go as soon as possible. And then you ask them jokingly, then why did you take it? And they'll tell you straight, it's a business, it's money. It's a business transaction. So it's that kind of story. So you have to, they do take good care of the hostages wherever they are. So I was not at any point worried that something happened to Gerco. And they consistently send videos. And even when they don't send videos, you have the link. Remember, it's not coming from the captors directly to us. We don't have any contact with them. We have contact with an intermediary who speaks to another intermediary who speaks to another one. It's a very, very long chain. But when the guys in the chain tell you he's well, actually, last year, or was it early this year, one of the people privately asked to meet us. And he said, you can't say this, but, I have information from the doctor who personally treated Gerco, and he's fine.
Wow. Any situations of messages getting lost in translation? Because you have indicated there's so many people involved in that chain of communication. Have you had such situations?
No, the messaging is never lost. It's very, very clear because the person I use is from South Africa as a person of Mali origin. So he speaks to them in their language. If we speak to them in English, yes, they can get lost. But they speak in their language. So I always use somebody who understands the tribes, who understands their culture, who understands their language, who's known to them. So it makes it much easier, and there's an element of trust. So that's why I sent the guy of Mali origin from South Africa the first time around for Stephen McGowan in 2015. And they then talk and they understand in their own language. So nothing gets lost along the line.
Subhanallah. One final question then, Dr. Suleiman. Do you know at this point in time what's going to be happening and how soon Gerco will be touching down in South Africa, number one. And number two, are there any other South African hostages anywhere in Africa or the Middle East that we probably don't know about, or probably still being in captive because of ongoing negotiations?
The first part is it's between the Algerian government and our government. Normally, when a hostage comes, they take you for a debriefing, first for a health checkup, then a debriefing in the country where he was put into. And thereafter, your state security, your government goes and fetches him, brings him back home. They have the option of, again, doing a debriefing session for him. But since this is 6 years, they may send him straight to his wife and children and child and maybe talk to him at some later point. Now, if somebody's going to go up, they probably went up yesterday or going today. So you have to allow for that flight time, a day to recover, a day to meet him, a day to come back. So it could take 3 to 4 days before he comes back. In terms of hostages, there is no other South African hostage anywhere in the world.
Okay, and I'm more than certain you're going to be meeting Gerco at some point in the future. You will do, won't you?
Yes. I always meet hostages.
Okay,
Always meet them, but not in a big. I normally leave it for the families to spend time with him, unless the family requests you to be there at arrival or something, and I can make it. Then I would do that. Otherwise, at some later stage.
Have you ever been asked to intervene or negotiate on behalf of foreign nationals that are that are held captive? You have, and how successful have you been?
Well, it was Johan Gustafsson, the one from Sweden. We got involved initially. He was with Stephen McGowan, and then eventually the Swedish government took over. And then we had requests from hostage negotiators from other parts of the world, Colombia, the Vatican, Italy, other parts of the world, some other countries, and they all came to us for advice, not to negotiate, but to guide them in the process.
Subhanallah. Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, chairman and founder of the Gift of the Givers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watch over you. You are doing amazing work, you and your team. We need plenty more Imtiaz Soolimans in our country and all around the world to truly uplift our communities and societies at large. Allah bless you. Allah be with you. Go well, and Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
It is exactly 8:59 News and Views on Salam Media. That was a very insightful interview with Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman. Gosh, he really gave us a inside look into how all of this works. And I just think he's such an amazing man, and his organization is equally amazing. And I kind of also think the people that work with him, imagine being touched by a man like this, just how he helps you open up your mind, see the possibilities and the potential within yourself to be able to go out into the world and touch other lives in a very, very, very positive way. Alhamdulillah. What an amazing man. Allah watch over him, keep him safe, and may he continue to do the amazing work that he does. Okay, it is 9 o'clock exactly, and I think our correspondent is standing by with the news of the morning.